Hello folks, I hope you're all doing well. We are down here at the bottom of the garden to talk about one of my favourite things at this time of year, and that is leaves, and there is loads of them all around and about me here. So down at the bottom of the garden, we've got these giant lime trees that have been here for so long, and at this time of year, every year, they drop their leaves all over the garden. And the best thing about it is, with a bit of, 10-20 minutes of effort with a rake, I can rake them all up and I can turn it into free compost, or leaf mould, as it's otherwise known. And it can be compost or it can be used as a mulch on top of the beds. And like I say, the best thing about it is absolutely free. And all the leaves that fall down over here, I gather them all up and they give me a pretty decent amount of compost. And it all comes from these trees. The deciduous trees are by far the best to use. So when they drop the leaves at this time of year, deciduous ones, you can use evergreen leaves. If you're cutting back bushes or plants or things like that, you can use evergreen ones, but they will take a lot longer to break down than the deciduous ones, the ones that have died naturally and fallen off the trees onto the ground. Now there's a few different ways of doing leaf mould and different things you can do with it, and it does take a little bit of time to make. Because that's the one caveat that I will give you on this, is that it takes a little bit of time. So I've got some up at the allotment, and we'll head there in just a minute and we'll take a look. So I've got some there that's 2 years old, I've got some there that's 1 year old, and obviously we've got the brand new leaves that are fresh that we're picking at this time of year to show you how we're going to make the leaf mould from that, because there's two different ways we can do it. One's a bit quicker than the other, but I'll talk about that when we get there. The other very quick thing to mention is when you are collecting up your leaves, please just be a little bit selective about where you get them from. So if you're alongside a really busy road, maybe it's not the best place to get the leaves from, because those leaves can absorb some of the bad emissions from the cars and the traffic and things that are going past, that go into the leaves. And if you put them on top of your beds and things like that, it could just cause a few issues there with things that might grow in it, with different pollutants and things that the leaves have sort of taken in. But without further ado, let me quickly head from the garden here up to the allotment, and we'll have a little bit more of a look at how the leaf mould is coming along. So we've made it here to the allotment, and we are in the leaf mould production area. And what I've done is those leaves that you saw back in the garden there, they've all been raked up and they are collected inside old compost bags. And I'll come back to old compost bags in just a minute, because that bit's it's a little bit important for something we want to do. So let me show you here. I've got two sort of different ways, and I'll come to a third slightly different way of doing it in a moment there. This is your bog standard, easiest, most traditional way of doing it. I've got a couple of garden canes here, some chicken wire, and all I've done is I've made a cage, and 2 years ago I dumped a whole load of leaves in there. And to give you an idea of how much this sort of shrinks away, the leaves probably came up to about 3/4 of the way, sort of up to here in this cage, and they'll have shrunk over the last 2 years by about 2/3. So that gives you some sort of idea of the volume of leaves you need and the amount of compost that you'll get from it. But just to show you, let me show you this. This is the 2-year-old leaf mould, and it is lovely material. It is soft, it is flaky, it is composty, and honestly, it smells amazing. A couple of things to note though. In this open cage, it's open like this for a reason. It gets the air in, it can circulate, it gets wet, it gets water in. When you do that and it starts to turn into compost, weeds will start to grow on the top. Like it's doing here. I did give it a little bit of a tidy up, not a massive tidy up, a little bit of a tidy up before I came up here to show you this. So weeds will grow, but you need to keep an eye on it. You can cover it to stop that from happening, but during the summer, when it starts to dry out, to keep that sort of process of the decaying leaves going, you will need to water it from time to time. Now the other way I've been doing it, and this is my 1-year-old leaf mould, and it's just because I happen to have these, and it's some of these builder bags that you maybe get bulk compost or bulk sand in. And let me just get my hands in here and show you this. So this is the 1-year-old leaf mould, and you can sort of see the difference there. It's breaking down pretty nicely, but there's some big old chunky bits of leaves still in there. So what's the difference, and what are we going to use them for? This stuff here, the good stuff, the 2-year-old stuff, it's lovely, it's crumbly, it can be used pretty much as you would with any other compost. Use it as a mulch, use it for seed sowing. It is brilliant for for sowing your seeds in. Mix it in with your seed mix. If you use soil, if you use compost, whatever you use, get some of that mixed in. It is brilliant, lovely, airy, flaky stuff. 1-year-old stuff, if you want to use that. If you can't quite bring yourself to wait another year for it to turn into that kind of stuff, you can use it as a mulch on top of all your beds. Come early spring, when you're mulching your beds, instead of using manure, well-rotted manure, use some leaf mulch. It's already broken down, and it'll continue to break down on top of the beds and put those nutrients down into the soil. So I mentioned the compost bags and the builder's bags and the chicken wire. Chicken wire, by far the easiest way to do it. Now, we can speed things up a little bit. So like I say, this takes 2 years. We can do it a little bit quicker. And one way of doing that is using a bag. The bag keeps the heat in. I'm using this type of bag here, the builder's bag, because it's porous. So the water that comes in can drain through and come out the bottom. So the leaves are getting wet, they're getting the moisture they need, but they're not just going to sit there and rot, which is essentially want them to rot, but in the good way, not the bad way, not into a big, wet, slimy mess. We don't want that. We want lovely, flaky compost. That's what we're after. And the other way to speed it up is you can just leave them in the bags. And if you leave them in the bags, squash them down as much as you can. You'll be amazed at how many leaves you can squash down into a bag. Tie the top up nice and tight, and compost bags are the perfect thing for doing that in. If you use black bin bags, like I've seen on many of the videos about leaf mould, is you tie the top up, then you've got to go and put holes all over them and look after them. Compost bags are purposefully designed to store compost in. They're the perfect tool for this job. Squash your leaves down. The bags already have tiny little perforated holes in them to allow the compost to breathe. Tie the top off, and you'll probably halve the amount of time it takes in here to make your leaf mould. The other way to speed it up is to chop the leaves up. So if your lawn is covered in leaves, you can use a lawnmower. Or if you have one of those fancy leaf vac things that go around and shred the leaves up, you can do that. If the leaves are shredded, you'll probably halve the amount of time it takes in this process I've shown you here to do it. However, I generally don't shred my leaves, and the reason for that is it's autumn, it's here, it's Scotland, it's wet, it is wet all the times. If you've ever used a lawnmower or a leaf vac in the wet, you will know it ends in disaster. It gets clogged up very quickly. It will drive you round the twist. So unless you have a nice big expensive powerful petrol driven lawnmower that'll do just the job, save your sanity, get the rake out, 20 minutes, bit of exercise, get those leaves raked up into the purpose-built compost bags. Easy as that. Take them to wherever you're putting them. Like I say, this thing here, a couple of garden canes, bit of chicken wire, perfect. 2 years, you will have some of the best looking compost you've ever made yourself. Anyway, if you like what I've been talking about here today, please think about liking and subscribing. Subscribing is absolutely free. Just click the red sort of button you can see down below. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Leave any comments down below. What do you use leaves for? People use them for a whole myriad of different things. Let me know if you're on the leaf mould train, if you use it for anything, and what you do with your leaves. I've got a bit of a plan brewing. I've got something on the go about more composting, because traditionally, apart from the leaf mould, I'm not great at making my own compost, but something's coming. I've got a plan brewing, so watch out for that coming. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today. Hopefully you all go off and make your own leaf mould, because it's free. It is free compost, a bit of effort, half an hour, rake up some leaves, chuck them in a thing, leave them 2 years, you have free compost. Brilliant. Anyway, that's me done for today. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, folks.